So Chinese emulation has been something that I've looked at for the longest time, and I thought I'm going to dive in this time because this little box right here, this one right here, was £35. And it's loaded with many games. So let's have a look and see what this actually has to offer. So what's actually in the contents of the box? So this is quite a nice little setup. In here you get your arcade box, and this is supposed to house 33,000 games on a 64GB card. Then you get your HDMI cable. You get a PlayStation 2 style controller, which, you know, to be honest with you, wasn't the worst in the world. I really enjoyed playing with this and it didn't feel spongy or anything. It's nice that they actually include two of them as well. So if you and a buddy want to play, or you and your children want to play, or whoever, it's all good. So this is just a little Linux device, a little box, and it's got, you know, all the ports that you could need on it. It's got the little HDMI port right by here. It comes with two USB ports there for the controllers, and you do actually get two PlayStation 2 style controllers that are USB plug-in for this, which, you know, they're not the greatest controllers in the world, but for £35, you're not really going to complain about that. So this system uses Emulation, which I've never personally used before, but I must say the amount of emulators working on this is absolutely incredible. I mean, you've got everything pretty much from the Atari all the way up to the PlayStation 1, and there's a lot of systems on here that I've never seen or played before, so there's definitely a lot of stuff you can do with this little tiny box. So there's nothing actually groundbreaking about the interface for this, but I must say I do like having the information for the game that you're looking at, along with like either a moving little video or just an image itself. It's a really nice little presentation. But the real question is, can it run Doom? Of course it can run Doom. I mean, your fridge can run Doom. To be fair, I've even seen a pregnancy test running Doom. So this little device is actually really capable of what it's able to do. I mean, I tested out some of the earlier sort of systems that you can get your hands on, and I must say they run absolutely fine. I mean, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever with your 8-bit or 16-bit systems. They just seem to just work, and that's actually a really nice little feature. So recently I picked up a Neo Geo Pocket, and I was quite excited to see that they actually had a bunch of games on here. Because the Neo Geo system is like super expensive, I am really happy with the fact that they're all pretty much on here, just free to play, ready to go sort of thing, straight out of the bag. Like I said, with your earlier systems, you're not going to have any issues, and I know there are some emulation machines that run Mario a little bit fast. I couldn't actually detect any sort of slowdown or any sort of issues around this. It just sort of ran, no problem. The music, the audio was running fine, because that's also another thing that's known to go wrong with this system, but yeah, pretty decent. Game Boy Advance runs fine. I mean, to be fair, I don't know why you would want to run Game Boy Advance off this, unless you want to play the Pokemon games. I don't know what was up with the screen resolution, but I just couldn't quite get it much bigger than this, so unless you're playing on like a huge TV, that might be an issue. One thing that emulation systems seem to struggle with is N64. There always seems to be some kind of weird slowdown. I don't know what it is about that system, but this had absolutely no problems. I ran Super Mario here, and to be fair, it was smooth as butter. It really just played, and that's what you're looking for, really. I tested out a few other N64 games on the system as well, and they seem to run just fine. So if you're looking for an N64 emulation, this might be your go-to. So what about arcade games? And when I think of arcade games, I tend to think of Pac-Man. I mean, it is the arcade game. And yeah, this is the arcade version of Pac-Man. It runs really sweet. Wasn't any issue at all with this system. Another system that's actually quite hard to get your hands on is the Neo Geo Cd. Although cheaper than its counterpart, the AES, this system still costs a hell of a lot of money, so Again, it's quite nice just to be able to play some of the titles that I probably wouldn't have even checked out if it wasn't on here. It's definitely opened my eyes to the Neo Geo CD. Although I will say the load times on this are the same as the Neo Geo CD. One of the things that I did want to point out with this that I thought was quite funny is this is called the arcade box. See that? There's a little boxer guy who's an arcade machine. Quirky, right? So this is a system that I've never even remotely heard of, and I've been into retro gaming for a long enough time to have heard most of it. But yeah, the Sega Naomi, it's an arcade machine that I believe was released in Japan. And yeah, this is Marvel vs. Capcom running on it. And again, there was no issues with slowdown. I mean, look at how many things are going on the screen right now. And there was absolutely no lag, no issues whatsoever. It plays absolutely great, and also it's a really good game. Another arcade port that I was really excited to see on this system is Aliens, and yes, this is the arcade port of Aliens. Now, I never actually played this in the arcades, but I've heard enough about it to want to check it out, and when I seen it was on the system, I was really excited, and it did not disappoint, and what a fantastic game. So yeah, you just basically go around shooting aliens, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for arcade ports that you may have played back in the day, there's a good chance that you might actually want to pick this system up. And what about classic shooters? I had to check out Gigawing. This game is a top tier shoot 'em up, and my goodness, look at all the things going on screen, and there was just no slowdown. Absolutely amazing and a ton of fun. One of the systems I was really interested in checking out was the Nintendo DS. Now, I didn't really know how this was going to work, but basically, as you can see, it's like a split screen, and then you can use one of the analog sticks as the little pointer. But I don't know, straight out of the box, I couldn't quite get this to work. I'm not sure exactly what the problem was, but it just wasn't picking up the directional pads or the analog. So I would go in a straight line, but I couldn't really move. So I don't know, if you're planning on picking this up to play DS, I probably wouldn't recommend it. So there's only a few Dreamcast games on here, but they all seem to run smooth as butter, and I can't really complain about it. There was no audio hiccups, everything just ran, and yeah, very capable. Dreamcast does tend to be one of those systems that has problems with these Chinese emulation systems. And finally, I thought we'd check out one of my favorite systems, the PSP. So this is Street Fighter Alpha 3 running on the PSP emulator. And this again just runs really smooth. So yeah, there's absolutely no issue with PSP emulation. And I'm always going to advocate checking out PSP games. So if you haven't, definitely worth checking out. So this device is running Kin Hank, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. It looks like there's some kind of emulation creators and engineers to make retro games for little systems, but either way, they've done an excellent job on this, and there's a ton of weird and wonderful systems on here, and just stuff that you either can't afford or you might want to check out but don't really want to fork out the price for, and this box definitely seems to be able to cover that. So these days in the market, there tends to be a lot of these little emulation devices coming out of China, and they're just filled full of ROMs. And for the longest time, I've had a look at different options. I've tried actually making a Raspberry Pi in the past, and that was something that I really enjoyed doing. That was a fun little project. And I've actually got that running in my arcade machine over there. But with this, I thought it was just a good little thing to have a look at and just mess about with, and actually see that there are actually tons of systems on this, as well as games worth playing. And, it's not the greatest thing in the world. There is a mixed bag of what you'll actually get result-wise with this little thing. But ultimately, it's a really good little device. It does pretty much deliver on what it says it's going to deliver. It plays lots and lots of different systems, and I gotta be fair, I'm really happy with this little device. So yeah, I'd say if you're looking for a little emulation device, this might be a go-to.